Matt Streb, political science professor and faculty athletic rep at Northern Illinois University. He's on the line with us right now. Matt, good morning to you.
Hey, Riley, how you doing?
I'm doing very well. How's things, Matt?
Yeah, they're good. They're busy, but good. Yeah, it seems like we kept having scheduling conflicts there, and we couldn't, you guys sick, I was sick, I was out of town, and we just had all sorts of problems getting together, so it's good to get back this morning and talk to you.
Absolutely, and we're just a couple of radio guys. You're the important one. You're instructing the youth and dealing with sport and all that. We're just kind of hanging around a microphone. So when you've got opportunity, we're happy to take it. How's things with Husky Athletics?
They're good. They're good. Yeah, we're in the middle of our spring sports season. We just had two great, actually a victory. I think we went, if you count them all up, we went 25-1 over the weekend in men's and women's golf. We won one of our tournaments with about 12 teams, and I think, and we came in second in another. So they've been doing great. Softball and baseball have been out playing, and our tennis teams have been out. And this is the last time we talked. We came within. We were up going to the fourth quarter, and the MAC championship game in women's basketball just fell a little short this year, but got a chance to go to WNIT. So yeah, things are going really well over here. I mean, it's always something happen, always something exciting going on.
And as I've mentioned before, if you are looking for really exciting athletics and a great feel and really great venues to catch sports, get over to NIU and see some of these teams play.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, the weather's been a little rough lately, but on a Saturday afternoon or whatever, there's nothing better than coming over to Marybell Park, which is our softball field, or Ralph McKenzie Stadium, which is our baseball field, and just kind of sit down, enjoy the sun, soak up some rays, and watch a little ball. It's a great thing to do.
I know ostensibly we're here to talk about politics, but one of the things that's a really big and is actually kind of moving over into the political realm as more political people are jumping in on it. The United Airlines fracas.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've got calls for congressional investigations. Is this a knee-jerk sort of thing that the political class feels the need to jump aboard this sort of thing because it's a hot-button issue all of a sudden? Or
I think so, yeah. I mean, you got not patient's bill of rights. You got a passenger's bill of rights. I mean, calls and things like that. Yeah, I mean, look, politicians will sit there when they sense outrage. They will oftentimes move to that and say, all right, I can get public opinion on my side on it. And so, what a bizarre situation. I have to admit, Riley, I've been on plenty of planes where I've had, the airline said, look, we need somebody to give up their seat or whatever. I don't recall ever being on a plane where we got on the plane and they were still looking for somebody to give up the seat. Usually that happened beforehand. And I've always actually wondered, well, what happens if we all just sit here and say, we're not going anywhere, so I never, I wasn't even aware that this is kind of how, at least United anyway, goes through and decides who's on a plane and who's off a plane.
Well, I think maybe we're looking at something that might be going the way of the dinosaurs as far as the way that process works.
Yeah, no, one of my friends made a very good point. He said, look, I don't have a problem with overbooking. If you're going to sit there and say, okay, essentially you're going to offer what the market bears then, and if $800 wasn't enough for anybody to give up their seat, then you go up to $1,000. You go up to whatever. I mean, whatever. If you've decided to overbook, whatever the market's going to bear to get somebody off that plane is really kind of what is. I mean, it really is pretty astonishing. People. I mean, obviously weather things happen all the time, but people need to get certain places. There are times when I've been on a plane where I thought, well, yeah, I could wait another 3 hours or whatever, or even get up the next morning and go,
sure,
I don't need to be where I am right now. And then there are times when I'm like, no, I absolutely have to be in wherever city I'm going to. And so to sit there, you expect when and I know if you read the fine print and everything, they've got they're all covered, but you expect when you're ordering a plane ticket that you're going to be able to get to wherever you need to be on a certain period of time. And and I also I don't have a lot of respect, I guess. Respect is probably too strong of a word, but if you need to be in Cleveland at 2:00 and your plane gets in at 1:50 and you're 15 minutes late and you're missing your well, that's kind of on you, I think, right? If you're going to be but if you're talking about, well, I've got several hours here, and I've kind of built in some leeway, and you're not getting there. That I think that's a problem.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I kind of like this guy who, I got to be back. I have patients to see tomorrow. Yeah, there was a little breathing room. I don't need to see him in 5 minutes, but I do need to see them tomorrow.
Right, and I can't get back in the time that you're telling me that if you remove me from the plane, I won't be back in time to hit those meetings. Absolutely. So.
And it was interesting to see people, of course, in social media trying to tie whatever political party they dislike in with what happened with the United airplane, which I thought it was a stretch at best, but many people gave it an effort.
Yeah, you see that just about on every issue now, right? Yeah, the PR for United really has been going to be a nightmare going forward. And yeah, there's always something. But here's the other thing too. I mean, you see what has happened. I mean, we've talked about this before, and it's not anything new. But cell phones have just changed the world so much because in the old days, I mean, for all we know, that could have happened some other time. Right?
Sure.
There weren't 50 people sitting on a plane with a cell phone filming it, and so it really has changed the way I think about that all the time when I walk into a classroom. I have no idea who's filming me and what they're doing. I mean, obviously if I see them, with their, but I've got 50 students in a class. I'm not exactly paying attention to, what exactly everybody's doing. And so, yeah, I'm sure there have been people who have filmed me in class, or there's all sorts of things that, the way these video phones have now changed things.
Oh yeah, and I've seen some flaps with different professors across the nation where a student, recorded what was being said and brought it up later on, and it maybe didn't paint the professor in the best light. In some cases, didn't paint the student in the best light. But yeah, that makes sense to where you wouldn't necessarily know who's tuned in for what.
Yeah, the real concern is if you start taking things out of context. I mean, if you're going to put my lecture online, you're not going to post the entire hour and 15-minute lecture. You're going to post the 9 seconds where maybe I'm trying to say something provocative or whatever to get students thinking. Who knows what I mean? So yeah, it is something I think that professors are thinking more and more as they go into the classroom.
Let's switch gears over into the political realm, with the big question being, so much has happened since last we talked. We've got a new member of the Supreme Court. We've had a shakeup within the inner circle. We've had a strike on Syria. I don't know. What are we 100 days? Are we past the 100-day mark?
I don't think we're quite there yet. We're getting close, I believe.
What's your overall take?
My overall take is... I guess nothing surprises me anymore. I think that, in many cases, we talked about this when we were talking about the secretary choices and things like that. I mean, I think people look for any sort of disagreement, any sort of bump in the road to try to say things are really, not going well. And I will say that things aren't going so great for President Trump. I mean, he does have historically low public approval ratings at this point. And there have been some stumbles out of the gate. And I think the one thing that he learned very early on, and again, anybody who knows anything about politics knows that this is, is not surprised by this. I think our current governor learned this very quickly as well, is you can come in and make the argument about you can make these great deals, and making great deals in business is not the same as making great deals in politics. I mean, frankly, they require different skills, or there are different issues that come into play, and I think President Trump really learned that very quickly on the healthcare issue. And he can come out now and say, well, I really wanted to deal with tax reform, and I don't want to focus on healthcare. Well, he made healthcare an awfully big part of his campaign. He made repealing Obamacare an enormous part of his campaign, and so you can spin it the way you want to spin it, but I think that was a very bad couple of days for him in the healthcare debate, and I think it was a bad defeat. And now we'll see how he responds to that. Though it's really important to point out that he had a bad defeat. Bill Clinton had a really bad defeat on both gays in the military and healthcare, and he obviously was reelected. And even in 1994 had a horrible showing by the Democratic Party in Congress, right? In the Congressional.
Oh, sure, and get lit up in one battle is does not mean that's the war, though.
So so holy cow! I mean, we sit there and I think we overanalyze these things so much. Was it a bad defeat? Absolutely, it was not a good couple of days for him. And I still think they're making unforced errors, and the Spicer thing yesterday on Syria was again, it was just a dumb thing to say. I mean, okay, maybe it was taken out of context, maybe it wasn't exactly what he meant, but now you're focused on this again. And look, everybody knows that what has happened in Syria is just, I can't even put it into words how sickening it is, right? You don't need to try to make it appear even more sick. I mean, people are aware that it really is just gross. It's horrible. I can't even think of the word that I want to say about it.
No, but all the ones you've chosen so far fit.
Yeah, how it makes me feel. So I just think there are still a lot of unforced errors. And it's not a very disciplined, administration. But that being said, I mean, we had the whole thing last week about Kushner and Bannon, and I mean, look, there are disagreements and there are personality conflicts in every single presidential administration. These might be slightly different, but for the most part, you got people that have very different worldviews, even within Democratic administrations, within Republican administrations. It just, so I think a lot of this stuff gets, maybe blown out of proportion more than it otherwise would.
Yeah, and that's a fine point that you make too, because we can look back at any administration, take it back to some of the infighting that went on with FDR. Every administration has had people in that administration who just really hate one another or really are pulling in opposite ends of the rope. How much that is going to affect things overall, I guess in some administrations it has, in others it's worked itself out.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I do think that President Trump brings some of this on himself, too. I mean, in terms of how he handles certain things is, we've talked about this before. I don't necessarily think it's, the way you want presidents handling certain issues and going out on Twitter constantly. And I mean, again, some of the focus that he's gone to, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't know what the end game is, and maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe there isn't really an end game in what he's doing. Maybe it's just simply, whatever comes to his mind, he's just tweeting out, or maybe there's some master plan that he's a lot smarter than the rest of us, and he has some idea what exactly he's trying to accomplish. But I think that's been certainly, let's put it this way, that is it's been a much different presidency from that point of view than we've had with previous administrations.
Oh, absolutely. I think he could be considered a victory for him, although I notice a lot of the news media didn't look at it quite the same way, is Supreme Court.
Yeah. No, he had a big victory there, right? And, but we've talked about this before, Riley. I mean, here's the thing, first of all, getting rid of the filibuster, I'd be fine getting rid of the filibuster all the time.
Sure.
I have no problem getting rid of the filibuster, period, for legislation or whatever. I don't think the filibuster necessarily has done what the filibuster was designed to do. The filibuster was designed to really make sure that you have good, honest debate on issues, that you maybe are able to come to build a little bit more of a consensus. And what it's really been used for is just a mechanism to defeat legislation that the minority party doesn't like. And so, I think from that point of view, that's kind of where I just think the filibuster is not necessarily needed. What I do think, though, is, again, I think there are times that if you're a principled person, I'm going to contradict myself or seemingly contradict myself, but if you're a principled person, you have to make votes that are contradictory to what might be in your best personal interest. And what I mean by that is, look, I have to be honest with you, I thought that Judge Garland was treated horribly. I thought that President Obama should have been able to make an appointment. He should have had a hearing. If the Republicans didn't like Judge Garland, they should have voted him down. And so I can see where Democrats would have been upset by how Judge Garland was treated. At the same time, I'm not necessarily I think politics becomes all about payback. And, well, we were treated poorly, and so now we're going to go back and we're going to treat you poorly. And it just the finger pointing back and forth. If you look at Judge Gorsuch, you might not agree with his some of the opinions he's made and things like that. I think, again, the job of the Senate is to make sure you're putting qualified individuals on the bench. And if that's the case, I think sometimes you got to swallow your pride and say, you know what, this is not a person that necessarily I would like. And yeah, I'm really upset about the fact that Judge Garland was treated the way he was. But at the end of the day, I'm going to vote for this person because this person is a qualified jurist. And, we just see, we don't see a lot of that. And the problem is that doesn't play out well to the base, right? I mean, you're going to get hammered left and right.
No, because that same base remembers Judge Bork, and they remember Judge Thomas, and
Sure.
they remember Miguel Estrada, and those sort of things stuck in their craw.
Well, and Patrick Leahy kind of did what I was saying, and then all of a sudden got hammered and kind of, step back a little bit. And so, the problem is taking the principled position isn't necessarily going to be popular electorally, and that's why I think you get what we got. But I mean, on both sides, I just have to tell you, I get so sick and tired of, I mean, they all do the same thing. It just whoever benefits. They're in favor of it today, and when it turns against them tomorrow, they're going to be against it tomorrow. I mean, it gets pretty tiring, I think.
Oh, I think in some cases, if there were no double standards, there wouldn't be any standards at all.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point.
That's going to run us out of time. I get it's been so long since we chatted. Just keep rolling and rolling here. Matt, as always, I appreciate your time. Hopefully, both of our schedules will intertwine a little bit more, and we'll be back talking things over in a couple of weeks.
Awesome, sounds good, Riley. Have a great weekend. Go Huskies. Happy Easter too.